Hi Libra and parakeet people. I was listening to them around here earlier on this evening, so if you relate to the green parakeet, this is for you too. So I'm just going to dive straight in with your Celtic cross. So let's have a card for your interior world at the moment. There we go, one jump straight out. The Page of Swords. Oops. Get this a bit more secure. One moment. Oh, that's better. Let's see. A bit back like that, that's it. And how that makes you act in the outside world. How does that make these collective, timeless people act in the outside world? How are they acting? Oh, the world. Lovely. And something for the basis of the reading. Ten of Swords. And something from the recent past. Something from the recent past. Something from the recent past. There we go, that's nice. The Tower. It's funny, I did a 2-second kind of shuffle before we started while I was getting into your energy. And the Eight of Swords came out as well, so I don't know. Potential outcome, Temperance and the Eight of Cups, okay? And something coming up in the near future. Oh, sit up straight. Something coming up in the near future. Five of Wands, okay? And I'm going to pull a card for your attitude, please. The attitude of Parakeet and Libra for this timeless reading. Attitude, a card for their attitude. Six of Cups. And their environment. Please, could we have a card for the environment? Devil, Four of Wands, Page of Wands. Let me just cover up the people in the Devil. Four of Wands, Page of Wands, Devil. That's for your environment. And your hopes and fears. Your hopes and fears. Ace of Pentacles. And an outcome. An outcome. Let's get an outcome for you guys. Can we have an outcome? No. Outcome, please, for Parakeet and Libra. Wow. Queen of Swords, that's you. King of Swords, that's you for Libra. And the Six of Wands in the middle. I like that as an outcome. It feels really nice. Okay, really interesting. So we've got four majors. And then we've got a mix of sword, 2, 4, 4 swords, 3 wands, and 3 cups. But I'm going to take this, so it's something to do with your mental processes, because we've got these, and we're only 1 pentacle, so that's really interesting. We've got this in the basis. So it's about a rebirth. I think it's very, very clear. And we'll get to that when I read that card, but because I'm taking that as the lead, it's about a rebirth. Okay, so let's just dive straight in. So we've got you as the Page of Swords. So you're strategizing. You're up on your higher ground. You're sort of halfway between the clouds. When you look at, in your outcome, the Queen of Swords, she's above the clouds very firmly, so she's seeing very clearly. Here there's a sense that you're kind of struggling to get your clear vision, but it's a very dynamic, youthful energy. And there's a lot of birds indicating a lot of ideas and inspiration and aims, really, I want to say, at the top. It's very windy. What am I saying today? Windswept hair, quite a masculine face. The white of her top indicating innocence, and a very large sword for such a young woman. I want to say her sort of torso doesn't look quite matched to her legs. Do you see how her torso suddenly looks larger than her legs? What would that mean? sort of top heavy. There's a lot going on up here. There's a lot of expectations with your sword going off the page, off the card, connecting to these giant ideas with this giant thought. You know, she kind of makes it up as she goes along, but she's very strategic, and because she's knows what she wants, she's got a good chance of getting it. So I like that for you, Libra. And the way that makes you act in the middle of the world, and what these ideas I believe to be about, are putting you in the centre of your world. I don't know what we're allowed to show and what we're not, so there you go. So you in the centre of this laurel leaf, which turns up again right at the end on the Six of Wands, you're wanting to see yourself very successfully in the centre of your world, and I think that you're strategizing on how you're going to do that, like being your most Libran, intelligent, balanced, incisive self. This is your mission. How interesting. She looks almost like a sort of milkmaid to me today. With her hair up and red, and she looks very innocent and sweet. But a little bit worried. And there's something about the way her arms are, that it's almost like somebody's holding her hands. I know she's got her torches or her wands in her hand, but it's almost like she's in cahoots with someone, is what I want to say. So it's really interesting. What a great aim. In the basis of the reading, Ten of Swords. There's been a death, a metaphorical death of some sort, and now we're at the phase of rebirth. So I think it's at the moment where you give up and you don't want to struggle anymore. Well, I know it is. But see this sneaky little hand gesture? It's the same that you see with the Hierophant. Let's see if I can get that in focus. It's getting a bit dark. And that's a sort of gesture of rebirth, as is the sun coming up. And there's something rather lovely about stopping the struggle, because it's so awful when we're trying to sort of maintain a situation and it's not working, but there's something so liberating about that point where you just say, enough is enough. And so I think that's the basis of something that you've been doing has not really been coherent with your inner self and hasn't been allowing you to be successfully yourself, successfully acknowledged as yourself, I want to say. So that's super interesting. And in the recent past, we see the Tower. Not at all surprising with this kind of sense of a rejig that's going on. And here, something just wasn't built on the right foundations for you. Just looking at what I'm seeing. The king looks like a jester. His crown looks like a jester's hat. And then we've got the crown being knocked off by the lightning at the top, all the yods. The female, the queen, if that is his queen, but it could not be, who knows, looks a little bit more aware of what's happening. It's like that side of you might have seen this coming. The flames at the top. So there has been a short, sharp shock and a sense that things aren't as they should be in the recent past for you. That's clear. And now you're rejigging. I love it. There's a very positive reaction to this, which is, okay, in a way, if I've had that ripped away from me, what can I do? How can I present in the world that's going to be most authentic for me? And a potential outcome is a sort of temperance, the divine pause, followed by you leaving what you've loved before, rejigging it in the Eight of Cups, and finding your true path by the light of the eclipse moon. And we know that we've got an eclipse going on at the moment. Is it the eclipse moon? Maybe that isn't the sun. I think it is the eclipse moon. Let's see, I'll look it up. There's a lot of sort of sense of sun up, sun down. In the basis we've got, is this a sunset or is it the dawn rising? I think it's the dawn rising because it's rebirth. Here again with the temperance we've got the dawn rising and then we're at the night. So there's a sense of maybe the new day has come, but you've still got a moment of pause now and going off on your quest to find what is right for you, because we know that something has fallen. And that's very exciting, but that's a potential outcome. In the near future, we see you jumping in and competing for what you want. I really like this. haven't got my big red glasses. God knows where they've gone now. I can see one of them has got his foot half off the page, which is a bit like, or the card, which is a bit like is bringing my mind back to the Page of Swords, where her sword is off the page. So there's a sense of connection to something outside the scene, some other part of you, or some divine influence. But it's great that your energy is that unleashed, actually, because it shows that you haven't allowed, that even though there's a sort of pause, you haven't allowed this to be too devastating to you, whatever this ending has been. In fact, it almost feels like a relief that you can reinvent something. So I love that. And your attitude, yes, you're looking to the past. What can you find nostalgically in your past that would really, really fit your new identity? This indicates soulmates, yes, but also it's looking backwards to find some sense of meaning and nourishment. I'm looking at the back of that character here in the card. He's always sort of interesting, like a sort of sentry or something, kind of walking around, looking after them. I actually went to a church this weekend, and there was quite extraordinary. It was a disused church, and it took me forever to get in. I'm telling this story because it will be relevant to you. And it was in a very sort of strange area, a rich area, but right around it, it didn't feel rich. It felt slightly like all the animals in the yards were quite watchful, all the people in the farmyards were quite watchful, and there was a sign saying historical church. But I couldn't find a way in, and eventually I just parked my car virtually in a ditch and walked up a sort of funny trackway alongside of this path, and there was a guy burning all of the grass around the graves back, and I said, "Is the church open?" And he said yes, and it's obviously not being used, so I don't know whether it's deconsecrated, but it's certainly being looked after. There are no, it was full of mould and stuff, but I could see some sort of hints of murals underneath the whitewash, and all the things from the walls had come down. There was quite a modern stained glass window, which interestingly just showed Mary and Jesus, which I like, because it's nice to see women in these things. And when I left, the guy said to me, "Oh, you must have someone in the graveyard." And I said, "No, I don't. I just sort of like the idea of the place, and I'm very determined when I want something." And he said, "Oh gosh, Prince Charles used to come here all the time. He loved it." And what struck me was there was this incredible font in the middle that looked like one of these. I mean, even more cup-like. It looked like a GRAIL cup, to be honest. So that was kind of quite poetic and wonderful. And there's something about that, searching for something really meaningful. Oh, and this church has been there since the Doomsday Book, so that's amazing. And so something really far in the past that has caught your eye, that you're desperate to find your way back to, like me trying to get into this church. So I wonder what that could be for you, but you're looking, there's something that's really gnawing at you, that's going to give you a lot of meaning, that's going to be like your GRAIL cup. So amazing, follow that quest. And so, let's see, I'll use one of these funny little lights, I love these. When we look at your environment, there is the card of partnership with the Four of Wands, but with it the devil, and the devil always indicates like addiction or being tied to something that is, because they've got these chains on these characters, I'm not going to show you just in case, that is not healthy. So I want to say that there might be that you, in your environment, you might be tied to something that's becoming a little bit unhealthy for you. A person, an organisation, a job, a way of life that you are now recognising is not actually for your best interests. It's very compulsive or very tightly tied that you are to this. There's a very tight tie. And so we've got those two cards, and then we've got the Page of Wands, who's actually kind of distracted and found something else and has got a youthful energy, like your interior world of the Page of Swords. And he's the one that I think, if you can follow that jumpy, inspired, super excited part of yourself, you might find yourself out of this environment because he seems to be looking away from those other two. So I think that's what it's about. I think this youthful teenage energy is the one that's going to get you out. And in your hopes and fears, you want this wonderful new start. Now this is one of these aces handed to us by the gods or the goddess. It shows a sort of paradise behind that beautiful arch, a doorway to a new world. It's interesting, there are no yods of blessings, which we have on the others, but it's really divine, this new start, and it's an actual thing. It's an actual product, baby, health. It's something sort of tangible that's going to be grown. So that's really, really amazing. Can you see me, I wonder? I'm going to do this. That might be a bit distracting. So that's your hopes and fears. And fears-wise, yeah, it's always scary to start a new project, and we love what we've known. But in the actual outcome, so the potential outcome was the Temperance and the Eight of Swords, so like a kind of pause and then a reconfiguring. But actually, when we look at your real outcome, this is wonderful. It's you succeeding at being incredibly you. The King and Queen of Swords together, either side. Like, it's like sort of success because you're so you. You're sandwiched in between the success card with that wreath of success that we saw in the way that you're acting in the world, how you're really acting in order to sort of up your status these days, is now surrounded by yourself. So I know that you have achieved now a really high status that's very congruent to who you are. And people are recognizing it, and you're sort of stepping out into the world as totally yourself. So this is really, really amazing. Now, look, the light is fading. So what I might do is either come back to read you all of this tomorrow morning and add something to the thing, or we'll do it as an extended. Let's have a look. So let's get a LIBRA tarot to comment on this. Which part of the reading would you like us to focus on? Is there anything that we've missed? For Libra, it's too many cards. There's that one sticking out. Yes, Eight of Wands, but this is too many. But what's at the bottom? Oops, no, I don't know that they want to be read because it dove off. Yeah. Death, which is about rebirth, but I think they're not really wanting to be read. What's wanting to be read is the Eight of Wands. So messages, what messages do you need to send out in the world? We'll come back to this tomorrow. So I will remember this, and we will come back and read this, or rewatch the video. And then the other cards that I want to talk to you about tomorrow as part of this reading, if you want to go deeper. One is going to be from the Enchanted Forest Tarot. Why don't I time this better? Anyway, we've had a lovely sunset. Really beautiful colours. I wonder whether... Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, now I've unsettled there. So let's get a Enchanted Forest Tarot. Let's get an Enchanted Forest Tarot to comment on this reading for Libra becoming so themselves and the parakeet people. And it's interesting, parakeets are so noisy, and then we've got the Eight of Wands, which is about messages and communication. Oh, something turned there too. So what have we got? We have got... So dark I can't see it. Let's get this again. Oh, that's interesting. We've got the Eight of Visions, and is that the Eight again? The Eight of Visions, which is about the dancing daughters, and the Seven of Challenges. So super interesting, because I've just been to see a Punch Drunk thing the other day that is really about this story here. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, and these Seven of Foxes that keeps coming out to look after yourself and be congruent. That's very interesting. So those will be really interesting to return to. And then let's get a card from Rachel Pollock's wonderful Shining Tribe Tarot. Let's see. God, it's such a beautiful pink over there. I can also imagine that there's a mountain. It's a cloud sticking up, but God, it's so lovely. There's one, and there's two. We got, what does the Shining Tribe have to say to us? So we had one down here, which is the Place of Rivers. Lovely. And then the Emperor. So this is going to be really interesting advice. From what I know about the first two cards, well, we know about the Eight of Wands, that's going to be to do with messages. The Eight of the dancing, I think it was the Eight of Chalices one. The Eight of Visions is about beguilement, and the Seven of Challenges is about being careful as well. So there's two cards talking about being careful and one about being disciplined. So there's a note of caution coming, but let's see what the cards reveal to us tomorrow. And then this is the Place of Rivers. So it's one of the court cards for the cups. So that's reminding you of what you love. And congruence. Really interesting. Well, I'm going to look forward to looking at those, and thank you so much for this part if you've stayed this far, and let's add on. So I'll see you in a kind of different iteration in a little while. Bye.